Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Greater Peace Podcast, where wisdom, science, and lived experience become practical tools for healing, growth, and greater peace. I just read that off my phone. That's an excellent, what do you call that? Tagline? I don't know what you call that. Anyway, it's excellent, but I'm not going to remember that without looking at the phone. All right, phone goes away. I'm Ryan Lindstrom, and I am here today with my most excellent wife, clinical mental health counselor, Amy Lindstrom.
Hello, everybody.
So here's how it works. Every Monday, a short meditation episode is posted where Amy will introduce the topic for the week and lead a short guided meditation. And then on Wednesday, a longer conversation episode will be posted, which is what this is, where Amy shows up ready to roll and I show up and cross my fingers. And we see what happens. So last time I actually knew, 2 times ago, I knew the topic before we started. I cheated a little bit. This time I have no idea. So it'll all be new. I think I remember you referencing something about that it might be, quote, hard, quote.
Okay.
So maybe that's not what we're talking about, but I'm bracing myself just in case.
Well, all right then.
All right, then. I have nothing else to add.
Okay. All right. Okay. So usually every week when I'm about to start one, I'm like it's like the idea will come to my mind and it feels like excitement and clarity. So I know, right? Intuition. I know this is the thing, but I could not get it this time. For anything. I'm running through all the different topics and it's just like, yeah, I have one that I was planning to do, but it just feels like it was just kind of hard. And I told
She even tried to talk our daughter into being interviewed instead of just doing the normal drill.
That's still going to happen someday. That's not it.
It's her birthday and she didn't want to, so we relented.
Well, thank you for saying that because it is our twins' birthday and therefore today.
Oh, no. You had to do it. All right.
So today we are going to just talk about, I think it's going to be vulnerable, I think, but it's just a little bit of just to honor Dawson.
Sheesh. Probably a good thing I didn't have a heads up on this or I would have got sick real fast or something.
Well, let me make it real good for you.
Oh, gee whiz. That's awesome.
This is our Dawson.
Glad you brought that.
Yes. Our sweet boy. We have mentioned him a few times, that we've mentioned about him passing away. So I think that resilience was floating around, like it would be good to cover resilience or whatever, but it just today, all of a sudden it hit. It's like, it's about him. And I thought, maybe we could get Mallory and we can talk about their story and everything. But I think Mallory probably needs her own episode.
Yeah, if you would have told her that this is what it was, she definitely would have.
Well, I wouldn't have had her. I would have had her talk to us about her stuff and then go, just because you really should meet Mallory.
I mean, I don't mean to sound like this is not something I want to talk about.
I just know it's emotional.
It's just hard,
It is.
Because, anyway, yeah.
It is, but I think that that's the thing. It's like there's more to the story of Dawson than the grief. But I think that grief is something that it's like none of us are getting out of here without experiencing. And so I think there's a few things. I think that the experience of Dawson and all of that was hard, but also beautiful, but also like the things that we learned in the long run, the resilience that came out of it, the way that we see the world now because of the experience of being his parents. And all of that has been a lot of the catalyst that brought us here. So for his birthday, we can just honor him with fun stories or whatever, kind of tell whatever it is.
All right.
Cool.
I'm game.
Okay. So I will give you just kind of like a overview so you kind of understand. So we had struggled with infertility and stuff for a while. And then got pregnant with the twins when I was 20. I think I was just before 26 weeks. I started feeling like something was off. I couldn't explain it. It was just something was off. So I went to the hospital and just told them, I think something's off. And so they were checking. They're like, the babies are great, but you're having a lot of contractions. And so they did a test to see if I would go into labor within the next 2 weeks. They told us it was negative, so they sent me home on bed rest. By the next morning, I was very obviously in labor and called the doctor's office. They told me that it was an accident. It was actually positive, and that I needed to get over to the hospital. By the time I went there was no stopping it. Ryan had just left the night before because when they sent me home on bed rest, his grandpa's funeral was in Utah and we were living in Idaho at the time. So he drove down to go to his grandpa's funeral. And then my doctor fought pretty hard to get me to Utah to be around family and then I was life flighted to Utah, then stayed in labor for a week.
The first life flight of many that we did not know about.
Yes, we became frequent flyers on life flight. And it just, for whatever reason, I stopped progressing, but kept contracting for almost a week. And so we were
because they weren't even going to take you. They said, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
You're not getting on my plane. You're not having those babies on my plane.
Yeah. The life flight people were like, we can't take you if you're a 5 and you're a 5. And I was like, I will stop dilating and you will take me. And because I knew that the babies would die
and
if they
you did, and they did.
Yeah.
So that was
and
good.
then, but what happened is I stopped dilating for the next several days. They gave me an epidural twice to give me a break, but that was a hard time.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
It was hard, and there was a lot in it. It's just like I call you and say I'm getting life flighted, and then you were in the hospital with me 24/7 because I could go at any time, and they were giving you scrubs to wear so you can change your clothes every day. Just kind of funny.
Living on the vending machines. That's good stuff.
I do remember my family had come up to see us, and I remember somebody saying like, well, they normally say your babies will be in the hospital until their due date. That was 3.5 months away. And I remember feeling like,
man, was it 3.5 months?
Yeah, they were 3.5 months.
I always hear you say 27 weeks, but I'm not doing the math.
Oh no, they were 3.5 months early.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Welcome.
They're my kids, I promise.
Yeah, but everything's kind of a haze. But I remember them saying that your babies will probably be in the hospital until their due date. And I remember crying, going, I can't do that. There's no way I can do 3.5 months. Like that, the thought of a baby reaching 3.5 months and we've spent it all in the hospital, like, was just taking me down.
Yeah.
So crazy story in all of it is Mallory was there for 3 months. She had a heart surgery and 2 brain surgeries. And then she went home with Ryan to Idaho, and Ryan had our Jake at home. So Ryan's working full time and then taking care of Jake. And then and work, like doing all of that, but I couldn't have Mallory. Mallory couldn't be in the NICU anymore, and Dawson stayed for 8 months in the NICU. So,
hey, but Jake did win the elementary school science fair with his balloon propelled paper airplane project.
Yes, he did.
And he did it all by himself. I didn't touch it. He did it all by himself. And he won. He was pretty stoked.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, there's some things like that I think back at that now where it just like twists my gut that it's like I missed his whole kindergarten year. You know, it's so crazy, but you just knocked it out of the park. And then my friend Courtney was the backup. Ryan would drop Jake off at her house sometimes at 5 a.m. and run up to Sun Valley to work, and then run back, and she would take him to school, and then Ryan would come and get him. It was a lot. When I think back to that time of our lives, we were so like, okay, well, what do we got to do next? And we were just kind of handling it. And when, I don't know, when you look back at it now, or are you as much like, I'm just like, how the heck?
Well, it's just all you got going. It's like, this is the most important. This is what we're doing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you have no idea.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, you just figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and then you guys would drive down on weekends, and then I just stayed at the hospital for the most part. And then my brother lived close by the hospital, Primary Children's Hospital. So I would go and stay with him, and then you guys would come over. And then I think that it's like the blur, and the weird thing to me is I sent a preemie baby home with you, and then we had no choice. And you had a preemie baby and Jake, and we're working. I'm like, how in the world? I don't even know. It's just sometimes you just survival mode.
My employer at the time was more gracious than I could ever ask anyone to ever be in any circumstance.
Yeah.
And so, there were definitely a whole lot of help. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like friends and then Bob and all of them.
Yeah.
They were great.
And Mike, Bob and Mike. I gotta give Mike a shout out.
Yes, Mike, because I love Mike.
I just texted him today.
Oh, good job. I think like essentially then Dawson came home. Once he got home, it's like he by that point had like part of his bowel had died. It's called necrotizing enterocolitis. And then they had to do a surgery on that. They had come in when he was 3 days old and told us that he wasn't going to make it. And then he just kept pulling through. And then he had necrotizing enterocolitis. So his bowel died. And on that day, they did like that surgery. And then they did, I'm having a memory. Okay, hold on. So they did the bowel surgery and they did like a brain surgery. But here's the thing that I think I have talked about this before, but it's coming into my mind. It's like, you know why I have such a geeked out thing about intuition? When I was there, 2 babies in the NICU, usually on my own there, and like unless you were in town. But there's all these things going on. Hey, we need to do double heart surgeries. Hey, we need to do brain scans. We need to do all these things. And they have to ask for my permission. And I feel like I have to make decisions that are so far out of, like, I have no idea.
Yeah, the expert is asking you.
Yeah, and it's so scary. But I do remember one day going in and they said, hey, we did a brain scan on Dawson overnight, and he needs to have a shunt put in. Don't look it up online. It will scare you.
That's great when they say that.
Yeah. They're like, and they'll show all the worst case scenarios or whatever, but they're like, don't look it up. Just like, they were like, but this is the way for him to go home. This will help because they had a grade 4 bleed. So there's a brain bleed. There's 4 grades. 4 is the worst. And they both had one.
And blood is toxic to your brain matter.
Yeah, it's like a massive stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the doctors who I not so lovingly referred to as Dr. Doom just had no filter. He would just say it. He's like, both of your babies will be in a vegetative state the rest of their lives. Neither of them were. But I remember just kind of being just overwhelmed by all of it. But so they came in and said, because when he bled in his brain, it goes into a clot into the ventricle and it blocked his brain stem. So his ventricles were expanding, causing hydrocephalus. His ventricles were swelling. His brain was swelling.
So the ventricles so there's the brain, and the ventricles are in the center of the brain.
Yeah, it's like the cerebral spinal fluid.
And the fluid is in there. Mm-hmm. So they were filling with too much fluid.
Yeah, filling with too much fluid because it was like when it was supposed to drain, it couldn't because there was like the blood clot itself also caused scar tissue, which made it so it couldn't drain.
So then that compresses the brain against the skull and then that's like the worst headache you'll ever have in your life or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the shunt, his went on the outside, and it's like a check valve. It's like a one-way valve, so that when the fluid inside the ventricles becomes too much, it will automatically drain fluid out through a tube that I think ran into his stomach or into his heart.
His ran into his heart at first because he had had the stomach surgery and was having problems with his stomach, which was part of the problem. When some people just genetically have something that when you have anything foreign in your body just rejects it and fights against it.
Yeah.
And Dawson had that.
And the shunt, it was foreign.
Yeah, the shunt was foreign, and then it ran into his heart. So then...
It's not designed to be a permanent thing.
Yeah.
It can be. I guess over time, a lot of times they grow out of the need for the shunt.
Yeah, they can.
But it's like years usually.
Yeah, or sometimes people have them and then they get replaced all the time because they grow. So Mallory, Dr. Walker, who was the twins' surgeon, said that he put enough line in Mallory's gut.
He put a coil of line in there so as she grew.
Yeah, he said she would have to be 7 feet tall to outgrow it because we don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, so that's what the shunt is.
Yeah.
And they both had to have them.
Yes. So, but at first, so they came in, they told me this. I felt sick. And I didn't know if it was just fear. I didn't fully understand what the shunt was. Of course, I looked it up, but that wasn't what caused it. I just felt so uneasy. So I just kept telling everybody, I don't feel right about this. And everybody just like, I know, it's okay though. Just think about this. I know you're scared. It's just one more step towards home.
Yeah. All the people at the hospital that do this to people all the time.
Everybody is saying the same thing over and over and over. I'm literally telling everyone, every nurse on every shift. I told the doctor, I told everybody I could possibly talk to. And everybody, same thing. Just kind of, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. So I just felt sick. So I went home that night to sleep at my brother's house. And then I just was kind of like, okay, praying like it. I don't know why I feel the way that I do. And I'm trying literally everything. I'm telling the neurosurgeons, I'm telling everybody, and nobody's hearing me. I either need this feeling to go away or I need intervention and help because I don't know what to do. And so I went back the next morning, still felt it. The Lifeline team, so because we're at the University of Utah Hospital and then they were transferring them over to the Primary Children's Hospital, they do that with like an isolate or like the little incubators on like a stretcher with the Lifeline crew. So they transport, and on the way over, I'm telling them the same thing. Just like anybody, please listen. Yeah. The nurses in checking him in for surgery, everybody's saying the same thing. And then Dr. Walker comes walking out. I have not talked to him at that point, but he is the only one who had, like I had talked to, he is the one who had ordered it based on the CT scans. And he comes walking out and he puts his hand on Dawson's head. And this is something that I would learn that he does. He is an intuitive doctor, which is why he was like the best in the world. And he puts his hand on Dawson's head and stands there for a minute. He says, "Is this Dawson?" I said, "Yeah." And he stands there and he looks up at me and goes, "I'm not putting a shunt in this baby's head today." And he's prepped for surgery. Yeah. But he's like, "I'm not doing it." And I was like, I literally said, if it wouldn't be inappropriate, I would kiss you right on the mouth right now. I just was like, I could cry. I think I skipped all the way back to the hospital. The doctors and the nurses were upset. They were like, "Why did they do that? Why did they even order it?" And Dr. Walker said to me, "Why are they over at the University of Utah?" I'm like, "That's where I had them. And it feels a little less scary to me than Primary Children's." He said, "Okay." He said, "And he has a twin sister?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I will come to that hospital every day and check on them. Things might change, but I'll let you know if they do."
Because he was based in Primary Children's.
Yeah. And so he walked every day over to the hospital, checked on them. And then one morning, a couple of weeks later, he called me, maybe it was a month later. He called me about 7:30 in the morning. He said, "Hey, I've been thinking about your babies. Today's the day we need to do a shunt in both of their heads." And I just felt such peace about it. And it was both of them, which I
Yeah.
didn't even know.
Same surgery, different feeling.
Yeah. But I think that that's the thing, is all along I had him, and then I had Dr. Jane Scott, who was the pediatrician that we had in Twin Falls, Idaho, that she had a preemie baby, and she felt like nobody was advocating for mother's intuition. And so she went and became a neonatologist so that she could help in the NICU. And she constantly was like, what does your gut say? I'd be
Yeah.
like, I think there's something going on. She's like, what does your gut say? To the point where even there were times where I would just call her and I would say, something's off. She's like, what are you feeling? I'm like, I don't know. What do you see? Nothing. I just feel like something's off. She said, okay, come down. We lived an hour from Twin Falls Hospital. We lived up in Sun Valley at the time. And she said, come down to the hospital. I'll have the CT ordered, and I will also call Lifeline just in case. And every single time we would get there, do the CT, and she's like, his shunt's malfunctioned, you got to go. But she would have it all lined up and ready, because she was constantly teaching me, what does your gut say, Amy? What does your gut say? So I think that all of that, if I'm thinking in the grand scheme of things, it's like, even all of that was such a massive gift and something that led to what I do now and the way I think about it now,
Yeah.
But anyway, so what else? Dawson came home at 8 months. He was life flighted back a couple of days later. We were just, his shunt had malfunctioned. I don't know why. They redo his shunt, and then they send him home the next day. And then we got home the next day, and then he was really bad that time. So he ended up having staph or meningitis in his brain. I think he had 27 revisions. But then
And
when
revision is like they got to surgically like replace it, don't they, or repair
yes,
it,
but
or
it's
something?
more than that, because the line ran into his heart, when he would get an infection, the staph infection, it would leach to the plastic of the thing, and then he would have staph throughout his body, sepsis, all of that. So they would life flight us, and then we would be in the ICU, the pediatric ICU, and then for a while, because he lost his vision, he lost his ability to swallow at one point, which he gained back to some extent, but could never eat again through his mouth. All of those would happen like on these different rounds of the infection and the damage that it would do. But he, then they would move us over to the neurotrauma unit, and then we would be there for 5 weeks, and he just had to lay in bed. I couldn't change his elevation because it would change the pressure in his head. And we were just trying to give him antibiotics and fight off all the infection that was on the inside. And we did that several times, where I'm busy doing everything at home and working for you a bit and doing all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, wake up and Dawson has a blood clot the size of a golf ball on his cheek and not looking good. And it's like, okay, we got to go.
And you're an hour away from
the main airport. Hospital. Yeah. I mean, there were a couple of times where we found a flight was leaving Sun Valley Airport in 45 minutes, and we just ran, and I just took him and got on the airplane and flew straight to Salt Lake. So it was a lot. It was a lot when we think about all that. I do remember, though, one time calling you because we are such a good team in that scenario. There were a lot of doctors, a lot of people that were telling me, hey, you have to be careful. Having a premature babies can cause a lot of like problems in marriage, or having
not
special
only
needs.
can it, didn't they say most don't survive? Most marriages don't survive premature babies because of
because of the outcome, and then also having special needs kids, and we had 2, and then it was like, but I don't know. It's like we never communicated about it. We never fought with each other about it. It's just we
were dialed, baby.
We were dialed.
Yeah.
I remember once calling you from the hospital going, I just feel so bad because you're at home, like working, and you're getting Jake to school and taking care of everything and taking Mallory to all of her therapy. And you've got the full load. And I'm sitting in a chair next to Dawson in his hospital bed watching Disney Channel on a freaking loop, and for 5 weeks.
And what did I say back?
You said, no, like I have been feeling so bad that you're the one who always has to go down. And it was so funny because we both were feeling bad for the other, but it's like we were doing exactly what we had to do. I think there was one time Dawson, that was another intuition moment that we were supposed to go to Mexico with all of our family.
Driving across the border.
Yeah. And I just had the worst feeling about going. And so we just were like, we can't, like, I don't know if something happens to him. We don't know what is going to be available to us medically.
Hey, he's so fragile.
Yeah. And so we were up in Boise because he had just had a surgery. It's called a Nissen surgery, where they put a tube in his stomach where he was fed, but then they do this other surgery where they cut the flap of his stomach off by where it's by the spleen, wrap it around the top of the stomach to make it so he can't throw up, because he was throwing up everything. And then they had just done that surgery, and we were up there for his checkup to make sure everything was okay.
In Boise?
All of our family, yeah. Which was like 2.5 hours away from our house. But all of our family was in Mexico at the time. And out of nowhere, driving home, we're at about Shoshone.
Yeah.
Dawson gets a nosebleed that was...
It was a gusher.
He was bleeding out through his nose.
Yeah. It wasn't a bloody nose. It was like a ruptured vessel.
It was something because he sounded in the back seat like he was drowning, and I jumped in the back, and this is one of those things where I'm like, all of life experience, it was so crazy because I used to be an EMT, and there was something about it. It's like I just jumped in the back, went calm mode, but there was blood everywhere.
And I jumped in the driver's seat and went crazy mode.
Yeah.
Well, we were like 30 minutes from home.
We were 30, 45 minutes away from home.
And home was an hour from Life
We
Flight.
were an hour from the hospital.
Yeah.
Because it's clear up in Sun Valley.
By the way, the governor on a 2000 Ford Excursion diesel is 94 miles an hour. Yeah. Just so you know. Could not get it over 94 no matter what.
Yes. Well, and we were calling, we were on the phone with 911, but there's not a lot of cell phone service between then and then.
Yeah, it's nothing. I'm like driving through lava fields. It's not like it's traffic.
I remember once the dispatcher was like saying to you, they're like, are you in an excursion? You're like, yeah. An officer just passed you and said, you're going 94. You need to slow down. We're like, there's
I
like
ain't slowing down,
because Dawson's like coughing blood. It's everywhere. He ended up bleeding all but I don't know. It was like a quarter of his blood left in his body.
It was crazy. It was.
Yeah. He lost consciousness right as we got down into Bellevue.
The ambulance met us.
And the ambulance met us there, and he was unconscious. And we didn't know if it was like, is it coming up from the surgery? Is there something going on? But that was another intuition moment where it was just like, we can't go. But that was the time where something turned off in my head. And I had reached a max of some sort. And I was like, Ryan, I can't go sit in the hospital. And you're like, I got it. You know, and then I'm glad that you did, because you were like sending pictures of you guys. He had to be transported, and then lots of blood transfusions for a little while. But yeah, it's a lot.
Kind of a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. But let's talk about I guess I would say, let's talk about Dawson.
Well, first thing that I've been thinking is, it's amazing how many details you kind of forget because you're just nose to the wind and you're just plowing through it.
Yeah.
And so much is happening.
Yeah.
Life or death decisions once or twice a week or whatever it is. And so the details, we have never sat down and had this conversation. It's been 15 years. and we've never talked through this whole thing. So it's funny the details that come up, and you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was definitely, I don't know. It's like, I think we were so like head down survival mode for 4.5 years, you know?
Yeah.
But also just, I mean, there's all of that. Dawson had 27 revisions. His last one was when he was 3.5. But okay, then Dawson.
He's the happiest kid
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he just, yeah.
Totally. It's going to get me. That was the thing, is I think I had like a little picture of him with like a quote that said, it's like, I can't remember. It's like, challenges may be necessary, but misery is optional. And it's him in his little wheelchair
adversity.
with his adversity may be necessary, but misery is optional. And he's sitting in his fluorescent green wheelchair with his head tipped back laughing. And it was just like, that was Dawson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it was so funny because I would be at the hospital with him, and there would be nurses that would come in from everywhere. I don't know if you can see these eyes, but it's like
those lashes, they're like a foot long.
Yeah, they were so long, like Snuffleupagus on Sesame Street for the 80s kids.
Wow, that's a flashback.
It was like nurses would come from all over the hospital and say, "Is this Dawson? I heard I have to come see his eyelashes." And he just would smile and light up. And I mean, the kid, he loved a good sneeze.
He would die laughing.
He thought sneezes were the funniest sound. He thought newborn babies crying was hilarious.
Which to this day, Mallory despises. She can't handle newborn.
She cannot handle.
It's like the opposite end.
Yeah, no, but I was in Target once with him, and he was just laughing so hard, and I finally clued in. It's like there was a lady that was like over a couple of lanes from us, and her newborn was just bawling. He thought it was hilarious.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, both the twins had like 5 different therapists, feeding therapists, occupational therapists. He had a vision therapist to try to help him a little bit. They had physical therapy, and it was just chaos.
Well, so you talk about one of the previous episodes where you have your 5 senses, and we're more developing additional senses like intuition, like you're saying. And so it was interesting because he could see when he was born, or at first for a while, and then I think the meningitis got him, and then he I don't know, how old was he, 2 or not even that? I don't know.
No, he's probably about 1.
Okay, somewhere in there he lost his vision.
But he didn't come home till he was 8 months, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
So when you come in the room, he can't see you, but he can sense you.
Mm-hmm.
And his eyes get big, and he starts like, his face gets straight, and you can tell he's all hands on deck trying to figure out who is it.
Yeah, his little eyes would like roll up to the corner and kind of like shake. Because he was concentrating so hard. Yeah. Because you could be like, you would walk into the room, and it was like he could feel your presence come in. He didn't hear sound come in because you're on carpet, whatever, you didn't make any sound. He feels your energy come into the room, and then he's trying to focus to figure out who it is based on energy alone. And then he had a reaction for everybody. For you, it's like his arms would shoot straight down between his legs, and his little legs would pop straight out, and he would go, "Ugh!" Like he's so excited.
It's the anticipation.
Yes, because he knows Dad is going to come over and just tickle him, and he loved being tickled.
Yeah, we were finding all kinds of stuff. If you grab the blinds and you pull the rope, and so the blinds go up really fast, that was hilarious.
That's what I think. I think one of the things going through the situation is it's, there's so much, it's so hard, because it's like with Jake, he was just 5, but it was just like we're all heads down trying to survive the thing. I think it's in hindsight that I look back and go, he was so little. And before that, for 5 years, he had like, I mean, he and I were swimming every day. You know, when we lived on the ranch, he and I were going out and working cows with the Prescotts every day. It's like we were buddies always together, and then all of a sudden just gone. And he didn't really have the concept of that. But I think about all of us doing that. But one of the things with Jake is it's like, man, the way that he was with them when they were little.
Yeah, they were buddies.
He loved to make Mallory laugh. And then he shared a room with Dawson. And he just, it's like nothing lit him up more than Dawson. If wherever we were, he wanted to scratch Dawson's head. He wanted to be flipping his lip, which we called mib because that's what Dawson would say. And you'd flip his lip. It just made the sound. But
yeah, he could never talk. If he could get out a
mama.
Yeah, a couple of words.
Dada and Bubba. But not a lot.
Yep.
But he, Bubba was Jake. But he would make all these cute little sounds that were just like the best. Maybe when we post all of this, I'll throw up a video on the Instagram so people can watch videos of him, because you just can't quite get the essence of Dawson just through talking about it. I mean, we would be stopped everywhere. We'd be at Costco with him in his wheelchair and people would just stop. And the thing that I would hear so often is people would stop and say, like, I don't know what it is about him, but his spirit seems so big.
They're just drawn.
Yeah. And it's like, we would hear that all the time, you know, but, he loved a bath. He loved his head to be scratched. He loved music above, all the time. Yeah. Yep. But like sounds, like we had a Nerf bow and arrow thing that Ryan would shoot and it would make like this flick sound. And then it would hit the wall and make a different thud sound. And he would lose it. He thought that was so funny.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
And Jake was constantly making him laugh and take care of him. I think one of Jake's, he doesn't remember a lot. He was 10 when Dawson died, but it was, or just before he turned 10. But he would say, it's like leaving my brain. Hold. We're
going to wait. We're going to wait for it.
Oh my gosh. What was it?
You'll get it.
Yeah. Oh, if I was to ask Jake what was his favorite memory, he would say all the time. Dawson was on the top bunk. Jake was on the bottom. I would tell them to go good night and walk out. And then I would hear Dawson in there making noise and Jake laughing. And then I'd go in there and Jake was on the top bunk laying next to him with his Game Boy open. and he was like making faces or playing with Dawson, and Dawson would swing his arm around and try to hit the Game Boy in Jake's hand, and Jake would be like, don't do that, or whatever, and I mean, just whatever it was, it's like he always was playing with him. We always said there was a sound of a day. You have to find the sound of the day. Sneezes will always be it, but what's the other one? And Lightning McQueen was a big deal at the time, so ka-chow was a big one for him for a little bit.
Yep.
So
I remember that.
Yeah. So then anything else you want to add about Dawson?
I don't know.
There's so much.
It's just crazy to look back and go, oh my gosh. See, the thing is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having that whole experience, it's like you can't imagine who you would be if you did.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
That's got me.
I know.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know.
You just you couldn't imagine who you would be without it.
It's just like everybody. It's you are who you are because of what you've been through and what you've done and where you've been
Yeah.
and what you've experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that's the thing in resilience. It's like so much for us. It's like, I think I do what I do because of Dawson, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, there's other, I had a lot of really hard experiences in childhood and growing up, and those for sure play a role in it too. But it's like, I think I've arrived at a place, like even you, when you were saying, it's like over the last couple of weeks, just like feeling like I'm getting better, right? But it's like, I don't know, it's like I I wouldn't want to change anything about anything that has happened in my life, because if I did, it would mean I wouldn't be this version of myself.
Yeah. You've said that a lot.
I've said it because it's like I'm not, I mean, it's like, yeah, I say it a lot because it's really like I know my worth and my value is absolute, right? And sometimes I can get down on myself too and whatever else, but I can catch myself, and I don't feel despair about being stuck. I know that I can find my way through it. I know that I know how to turn it into a tool now instead of being stuck in it. And I didn't always know how to do that. I would say, like, we should talk about grief because um Dawson died. It was just we just felt like it was coming for about a year. And then
Yeah. That was, I mean, I don't know. You have pre grief, you know?
yeah, it's like it's really actually called
You know it's
anticipatory
coming.
grief.
We thought it was coming like
The year
immediately the first
before.
time, and we rushed
Hmm.
to Utah to be with family, and then yeah, it was a year
Yeah, and
later.
then it's like, should we go back home? Like, what do we do? And then he got, like, in July. I think that was that. So that was in February when that happened, and then in about it was June or July, just right before we went on a California trip with everybody in your family. He got this fever out of nowhere that was 105, and we had already decided, that it's like no, like, it's like life-saving things or whatever,
Yeah, so you have to, for context, where he was at is he could never eat orally.
Mhm.
He originally had an NG tube, which goes through your nose and into your belly, and they inject food into it through a
Yeah.
syringe. And then
And he
he
was
had a
allergic to literally
he
everything.
was he was allergic to. I
So
mean,
we would
yeah,
give him a formula that was $50 a can, and he had to have five cans a
yeah.
day.
So what was it after the NG tube? Was it the
Then it was the button in his stomach.
So then he had a button in his stomach, which is a bigger tube, and it went right into his belly, and you just plug it off, and then when you
Yeah.
feed him, you put the food in a syringe and put it in that way.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, towards it, funny story. So his crib, he had. I'm trying to remember that the way that we would feed him a lot of times is you don't actually push it through the syringe. You hang the syringe and then it gravity feeds, right?
Hmm.
Is that right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so there were a few times where I think twice that I can remember, um, where I went and picked him up out of his crib and turned and started walking away. And I hear this. I look down
Because
and
it popped out.
there's no tube, because what it would do is it had like a bulb on the end, so they put the tube
Uh-huh.
through the hole, and then they inflate a little bulb that's inside his
Uh-huh.
stomach to keep it in there.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking down after hearing that, and his eyes were huge. He didn't
It's
cry or
like,
anything,
what?
but it's like, what? Just anyway. So yeah, towards the end, his body was shutting down. He wasn't assimilating food.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it was like the last time we went to see his neurosurgeon, he said after doing a scan, he's like, his brain is actually in the process of shutting down all of his systems.
yeah,
And then it was very, very shortly after that, because it was like Christmas, And I just remember he wasn't feeling great at Christmas time. And then, um, and then, I mean, and then it was, yeah, when I put a feeding in, and then the next one I went to put in, he was just crying in pain, and his full feeding was still in his stomach.
Yeah, because you draw it back up to see if it's all gone or
Yeah, to
not.
check for residual. And then when we did that, it was the full feeding. So we called the doctor. We tried another feeding, same thing, and she just said, "This is." It's like what the
It's
neurosurgeon
like
had
this is
said.
the life-saving measures we're talking
It's
about
like if
a year
he,
ago.
yeah, it's like this is, well, it's not even. I mean, it's really like it's like his brain has shut down his bowel.
Yeah, right.
Like he's in the
It wasn't a
process
problem
of
with the bowel.
dying.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like kidney failure. All the things were happening and we knew it was coming. Those are all the things I think sometimes, at the time I remember, when we changed his diaper and it was like his pee was like the color of Coke, and I
Yeah, it's
was
kidney
just like,
failure.
oh, is that kidney failure? And the hospice nurse or the doctor might've been there at the time and was just like, yeah, yeah, that's just kidney failure. And I remember just, okay, matter of fact, but it's after he's gone that I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me? Why wasn't I doing everything? It's like, oh, like your mom said it best. She just said, like, right after he died, it was like, she goes, oh my gosh, like you think you're ready, and then you think you're ready, and then you think you're ready, and then you're not. And it's like, that is so true. It's like, you just, I don't know, you're going and then all of a sudden he takes his last breath, which wasn't very all of a sudden at all. He the whole last day just kind of hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. And I think all of us have said, like, that last year of Dawson's life, like knowing that he was going to go, there was something each one of us experienced with him that just shifted something, that the whole process of watching him that last year, taking care of him through it all.
Well, two thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
One is you're given what you need in the moment to deal with whatever you're dealing with. Or how about this? It's whatever you need to handle what you are faced with is available. It's not handed over to you. I think,
Yeah.
like you were saying, it's like intuition. You gotta tune in and try to find it. But yeah, I mean,
It's like Mother Teresa. There's a quote that she said that she was like, it's something like, I know that God won't give me more than what I can handle, but I wish he would stop trusting me so much. And it's like, dang,
that's good.
Everybody would be like, well, God's not going to give you more than you can handle. It's like, well, I disagree, because I couldn't handle 3 months in the hospital. And
Yeah.
I got 8 months, 3 months, and then 8 months. And then all of it. It's just like,
He doesn't tell you up front that you can handle it.
Yeah.
You just have to deal with it.
This weird, I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess it's like looking at it in hindsight. It's like a lot of that made me feel shame, because I felt like I should be handling this better. Obviously, God thinks I'm capable. I should. And it was just like, no, you know what? I just think that life is hard.
Well, that's the growth part of it, is you don't know you can handle it until you're done with it.
Well, you don't. When people would say all the time, I don't know how you're doing it, I could never do this. It's like, I can't do this. But I don't have a choice.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 families in our neighborhood in Idaho that had lost children.
Yeah,
and they
crazy.
You got together. I never did, but you got together and talked with all of them. And the thing that I remember you pointing out that was so interesting is you said that you were each sharing the stories of your children, and you would tell your story with Dawson, and then one of the other families would say, oh my gosh, I could never do that. And it's like, well, okay, but how did your son die? And it was a motorcycle accident or something. And then everyone else in the group would say, oh my gosh, I could never do that. And everyone there felt like they could never do it the way that everyone else did it.
Yeah, but we've all lost children.
But they made it through the way that you did it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with life. You don't know what you can make it through until you do it.
Yeah.
And then you're done and you go, oh my gosh, I don't know how I did
Well,
that.
it's a whole lot of put your head down and take the next step and
Yeah.
just I mean, I think one of, you know, I don't know, it's like when I think the hardest part was like with grief, it's like when he had died, it wasn't just um I just remember thinking, I don't know how I'm going to live without hearing his sounds,
Yeah.
you know, his little mamas, and just like he was a little cheeky. Like I was watching videos of him the other day, and it's like I was video recording him, and it would take a lot of effort for him to get his arm to go where he wanted it to, but it's like he's always trying to swing and like hit it out of my hand, and then he would have this little sideways smile like he was being a turd.
We had this restaurant in Haley called
Yes.
Chapala,
Yeah.
Mexican restaurant. And we would go there and he would sit in a high chair. Is it a high chair?
No, it was in his wheelchair with his
He's
tray.
in his wheelchair.
Yeah, and he has his big plexiglass tray on.
I don't remember exactly. What
well,
was
he
it?
he was in his wheelchair and he has this plexiglass tray on it. And then we had taken his favorite toy, which was the little
That's right.
The little car driving thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
But he would play with it and he would try the whole time to knock it off on the ground.
He's like hand over and just like concentrating so hard on it. And we'd go, Dawson. And he'd get it closer and closer and closer. We're like, Dawson, don't you do it. And then he like knocks it off. It makes the sound and he just laughs. He thought it was so hilarious.
Yeah.
It was so funny. But he, it's like he would do that. Or the other one was he couldn't ever bear weight on his feet. So he had this stander thing to train him to do that. He hated it so bad.
It's like it's
a torture device.
Yeah, you strap him in and he's standing, but he's strapped into this thing, so it'll take his weight, and he did not like that.
No, he didn't. And so we got him. There was one that looked like an archaic torture device. It was bad. And then we got another stander that had like a big tray on it with a big bowl, and I would put like beans, like dry beans in it. So he had something to do with texture to kind of distract him a little bit. So he's like, he would sit there and he would get his little hand in there and then he would pull it out real fast and let beans go all over the floor. And I would sit there working and I was just like, are you making a mess? And then he would laugh. He thought that was so funny.
Well, it's interesting because I think about it. We had him in every therapy in the world, trying to get him to speak. Did he do speech therapy at first?
Yeah, he did a lot of they do like with the speech therapy. There's a lot of massage and whatever for feeding therapy.
Yeah, they did that. They did the physical therapy, try to get him to move. But the thing is, there was a point, and I don't know where it was or what brought it on, where we just decided.
No, I remember. Yeah. He was going to school. So Sun Valley, Idaho, it's like, who knew? We're up in the middle of nowhere. And so there were the best resources hands down up there and the best people. I just don't know how we would have done it without all of them. And they also were always teaching me. It's like we're sitting in an IEP meeting and they're like, what do you think? And then I'm like, I think it sounds great. And they're like, no, like, what do you think? Are there any concerns? They would teach me how to. So when I came to Utah, Utah has its massive challenges, which I will stand by forever, that the school district needs some upgrade in the way that they help kids with special needs in some ways, because it was a massive struggle in comparison. But with Dawson up there, they had early, what is it? It's like an early intervention preschool. So as soon as they turned 3, before they even turned 3, I had 5 women from the preschool in my house, sizing him up for different things and getting him ready and getting Mallory ready.
Yeah.
And then he would go to school every day. I have a little card for Halloween. They would take his little hand and like help him hold a stamp, and then he would stamp it on a card, but his little fingerprints would get in the ink, and his fingerprints are all over it. But he came home, and the bus driver was like, he made you a card. And then I was like, did you make me a card? And he would do this like tuck down his head, like little shy smile. And it was just so cute. But we had so much help up there, all these different kind of therapies. But it really was that like last year when I would get him up, he needed I would get him up first because he just, no matter what I was doing, he was totally fine. He would have neuro screams and headaches that Dr. Walker said were like 10 times the worst migraine, which would cause these neuro screams. He wasn't on pain meds. I would sing to him, and I walked like all over the place with him sitting right here on my arm with his little face. And here we call this Dawson spot, where he just had his face turned into my neck, and I would do all the things that I was doing. But he needed that time in the morning, every morning before he could go to school. And he just had a few days where he was just really fussy. And I just stopped and was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And then it was just like, do you just want to stay home with me? And I just called and said, he's done. He's not going to be coming back. And they were super supportive of it. And I'm so glad I did that, because he and I, it's like all day during the day he would sit in his little rocker by my desk while I'm working, or, whatever.
Can I just say, I think if you have a child with severe needs,
Yeah,
it would be worth it to move to somewhere that has the support,
yeah,
like they had in Haley, Idaho. Because when we moved here, Mallory was older.
5.
Well, 5, yeah. So she wasn't really older, but
no, but it was a nightmare.
It was battle. I mean, battle.
Yeah.
How many schools did we go through?
Well, I had a principal that thought that, her IEP said she needed to be in school for a full day. She already had been up there, because her big thing with her autism was she needed the social engagement, but she taught herself to read it like 3.
Oh, she was reading whole books. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we got here, it was just like the principal's like, the social stuff it doesn't, she can only go to full day if she qualifies for it, because they didn't have full day then. But she was fighting it. And then she held a meeting because she heard that I talked to the Valley View principal, or the principal in another school, because it was like she wasn't willing to follow the IEP. So she held a meeting and then called me and said, just so you know, we've met all of us together. And I told them, you're just looking for free babysitting. And I literally was like, you do not know me from anybody, and you have not even met my daughter yet.
Well, it's so
like,
hard.
Who are you? Like, it was the weirdest
I totally get
thing.
It. Like, there's so many kids and so little resources. Where do you put it?
No, for sure.
I mean, I'm not saying I have a solution for it. I'm just saying, for the sanity of your family and for your child and for you, it may be worth it to just uproot and move somewhere where those resources are there, because, all of the community action and trying to make things better and everything is great. Mm-hmm. But your child probably won't benefit from it by the time it does something. And 5 years later, you know what I mean? And so,
I mean, Mallory,
I just know we couldn't have done that ourselves.
Mallory was in a different, I mean, she's up there, she's getting every kind of therapy. Every therapist is going to her school, working with her, helping her with everything. She's just completely surrounded by so much support up there. She would go to like her preschool where her therapist would meet in the morning, and then she would go to a regular preschool in the afternoon with support to help her integrate with other kids her age when she was 4. Then she had, what is it? The, oh my gosh, it's right there. No. Well, yeah, it was SPED, but the sports program where they went and rode the horses.
Oh,
adaptive sports in Sun Valley also would then come and get her, and they took Dawson. They would go ride horses with them, and they would, all during the summer, she was doing these ice skating and they would take them skiing and they would do all these things. And then it was just like complete loss of all of that. And in fact, when she got here to the school, it was like when I went into her IEP meeting, they're like,
an IEP is a specific program.
Yeah, it's her individual
a curriculum just for her.
Yeah, it's her individual education plan, and the individual aid that she's supposed to have is being used for the full class because they have like 36 5-year-olds in one class with one teacher, and so she's not getting that. Then for her time that she's supposed to go to speech therapy, no, not speech, she's supposed to have an occupational therapist, but they were like, oh, we don't have an occupational therapist, so we've been doing speech therapy. But I'm like, to check her therapy time off, I'm like, what in the world? And I know, like, I'm not saying that as like, I just think that it's resources around here and in every public school. It's like, heck, everybody should be, it's like, if you want a good place to donate money, because that's exactly why Sun Valley was the way that it was, is they had a lot of community support, financial support to be able to hire and do what they needed to do. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it matters. And it was so helpful. But all along, what was such a gift to me is that up there in the beginning, they pushed me learning how to advocate for my kids so hard. When I got here, it was frustrating to the one principal because she's like, we know what we're doing. Why are you getting involved? And I mean, she literally said those things. It's like, what?
Well, and in the same breath, it was, she's disruptive in the class. We can't have her here.
Yeah.
It's like, man. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. But
advocating for yourself. This is one thing about the medical industry that I never dawned on me until we had this situation 20 years ago when they were born. Growing up, it always seemed like you get sick or there's a problem, you go to the doctor. You don't go to 4 doctors and pick the best one. I mean, we didn't. You go to the doctor. And so you always felt like it wasn't up to you to have input and make decisions. You go to the doctor and he tells you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But man, it really opened my eyes to the idea of being an advocate for yourself and for your children in medical scenarios, because, everybody's human.
Yeah.
And it's so,
well, and they're running according to what the insurance is going to pay and not, which is a whole other thing. But it's, but yeah, it's like I think sometimes it's like I think that's why one of the things with Dr. Scott, who forever, she was just, and the way that we ended up with her was so crazy because I kept telling them, they're like, who's their pediatrician at home in Idaho? And I said, Dr. Smith. And then they kept writing Dr. Scott. And I didn't even know there was a Dr. Scott, but I kept saying, no, Dr. Smith. I said, Dr. Smith. I changed it so many times. And then at the very end, they said, okay, you have an appointment with Dr. Scott on this day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go home and figure this out. And then I don't know why. I went to her and she's just like, she's got this like English, South American little accent. I don't know, like from living all over or whatever, but she was just, she was somebody who was just like, no, you trust your gut. It means something if you feel something.
It was a handful of people along the way that were responsible for our children living,
and then her absolute trust in it as well. And then having Dr. Walker, who like one of the other neurosurgeons, I would talk to him and he would say, they're like, Dr. Walker is just, he's unlike anybody else, because they said he'll walk in and you'll look at the case notes for a kid and you'll know exactly what the next steps are. And he'll walk in and put his hands on that kid's head and stand there quiet for a minute and then say, we're going to do this. And it's totally different than what the textbook says. And then it's dead right.
Yeah. It just goes back to the intuition thing. The more you can dial into that, I think.
It's just how does he have that? How does, it's like, but we all have that ability. But the reason, it takes a lot of courage to act on an instinct that doesn't make sense. It made sense on paper that Dawson would get that shunt that day because you looked at his ventricles But Dr. Walker's like, no, I'll go over. And as the pressure would grow in Dawson's brain, there was a reservoir that was in there, like a little vent where he could just pull some fluid off so he wasn't in pain. But like kept going. And it just, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just like trusting your gut, but then being surrounded by and having the opportunity to have people that trust their own and encourage me to do the same, I think has a lot to do with why I'm at where I'm at. Now, does that mean I've always followed my intuition? No. And it burns me really hard. Even, it's like years, not long ago. I just got burned, but it was the last time that I will ever ignore my gut like that, But I think one of the things that would be helpful to talk about a little bit is grief.
Yeah, there's something that came up a little bit ago that I wanted to bring up. It's not fun to bring up, but so, and if I don't know if you've ever had a child or a family member in a situation where that they're not long for this world. Maybe you've had a similar experience, but there were times where I just found myself saying, just take him. I mean, if he's suffering, you know what I mean? Not like take him like we don't want to deal with this anymore, but like if you're gonna take him, don't prolong it. You know what I mean? Have mercy
he's just suffering
on him and on everybody. But that's so, if you've never been in that situation, that sounds so harsh and selfish and brutal.
Yeah.
And even saying it out loud, it sounds that way, but it's an extremely unique context to be in. And, and so then there's the guilt of feeling that like, oh my God, because you think that for a minute and then you're back into normal life. But every once in a while, it was just like, if he's ready to go, just.
I think we were so in survival mode at the time. And I realized that like just before, not long before he passed, but my friend Michelle Alberti was, her last name's different now, but it is like she had lost a child before. And so she came over and she was talking to me. And then she said, I can't remember exactly what it was, but she had said like, it's like the guilt for feeling like praying for them to be able to go so they're out of suffering is real. Like it's a very confusing feeling and it's okay to feel that way. And her just saying that to me, but it's like, I think we were in survival mode. I don't even know if I passed that on to you, but it's totally true because then it's like later when my grandpa, I took care of him for the last 3 years of his life. And towards the end, when he's just suffering and his mind is not in the right place anymore, he's not himself in a lot of different ways. And there was all of that going on. And I remember my uncle saying, I just feel so bad because I just feel like I want to pray for him to be able to go, but it like feels uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, but it's like, I don't know. It's just, you see them suffering and you don't understand why does it have to drag on?
What is the point of the continued suffering? So,
and the only reason why you can ask for that before they die is because you do not know what it feels like after they die.
Yeah.
Where you would literally give your
after
right
they die,
arm.
It's like, why did I ever, how did I ever
You would
think
give
that?
literally anything for
just
10 seconds.
I think it goes back to the stuff you always talk about. It's looking at your situation and judging it like you know better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that you're coming from a place of arrogance or superiority, but you look at it and go, I don't understand why it is this way. Wouldn't it be better if it was different? But I think the more peace comes if you surrender to where you're at and what's happening and just focus on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not that that's easy.
Well, I
It's
think
easier to say than do, for sure.
right, for sure. I mean, it was, to me, I think that those last few days with Dawson, it's like he couldn't eat anymore. Literally, we could not feed him. And so we knew it was coming in a matter of days. The doctor was on the phone with us. Hospice was there. We knew he was going. And I think I was just there was a point where I was just so angry. That because at the time, the way that I believed God was, and, all of that kind of stuff, it's like, I was just so angry at God that I had watched this child suffer, and I had literally given all that I possibly could to help him, to do whatever we could. And that, at the time, it was just the idea of a God that would require that I now watch him suffer to death was just beyond. Like, I don't know. I have a different perspective of it now. But at the time, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, two thoughts. One is, what did we think it was going to be like after he was gone? Better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because after he was gone, yeah. I mean, we can get into that in a minute. But the second thing is, since we're just throwing everything out there that we're feeling, and I know people out there felt the same thing, for a while there, I had, not strongly, but I felt like we killed him. We ended his life because we made the decision to stop feeding him.
Yeah.
And that was probably based, I don't know what it was based in, but it wasn't based in reality, because reality was he was not his body was not assimilating food. You couldn't feed him.
Yeah.
It would just sit in his stomach.
It hurt him so badly.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is the doctor was on the phone with us trying to help you understand that you were like, no, it has to be another way. We can't do this. And it's like, she's like, if he didn't have the tube in his stomach, it would be done. But he has the tube in his stomach, and that's the whole problem.
To be able to feed him.
Yeah, but it's like, we couldn't even put in a teaspoon of Tylenol to help him with pain without him just being in absolute agony.
Yeah.
Because his brain literally had shut down his bowels. So it's like, yeah, it's like your brain tries to make sense of it. I think, it's like, I think that's a normal part of it. It's like, did I do everything that I could? What could I have done different? Because I think that's just our human minds trying to figure out, like, how can I make this so this didn't happen? It's just the resistance to what
How can I make it okay? How can I understand why it all happened? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I suffered with that for a long time. I struggled.
Go back to conditioned mind stuff. It's like, well, yeah, because you're dealing with this super difficult thing, and your brain wants to go to a place where it's your fault.
Yeah.
That you didn't do enough. Or whatever.
Which also goes back to the last episode or 2 episodes ago of shame. It's like, to some degree, it is based in shame. I felt like I was a bad person because I let my son die.
Yeah, I'm
like
sorry.
I had anything to do with it. I mean,
know,
you know what I mean?
You never even talked about that. I mean, you did. I knew it a little bit, but I'm sorry you carried that for long.
Well, I was waiting until we could broadcast it to the world before I decided to talk about it. Thanks a lot, baby.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You know what? Even Dr. Walker called me. He performed 27 surgeries on Dawson, and he called me right after Dawson's funeral crying. And he's just like, I'm so sorry that I couldn't do more. Like, I tried so hard, and I just couldn't do it. And my perspective in that moment was, Dr. Walker, like, Dawson wasn't supposed to live beyond 3 days, and then and
you're
then
the
it's
only
like,
reason he lasted 4.5 years.
We had him for 4.5 years because you never gave up. You kept going. It's like, it was just life support in a different way that he needed for a time. But his brain, I remember going to a doctor in Idaho. When I went, he did his stomach surgery up in Idaho. And when the doctor was doing his medical history, which was always a thing, but by that time, I think Dawson was like he maybe was 2, and he had had the majority of his surgeries by then. And so I was like, he's had like, I don't know, it was like 15 revisions. And he was like, what?
Yeah, it was
He's like,
foreign.
you
Like
can't.
that never happens.
He's like, you can't. I mean, like 5 in 1 year is insane.
People don't survive that typically.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, whoa, that was a lot. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just sorry that you carried that for so long.
I never dwelt on it.
No, I know you didn't. That's why it came out in the ketamine treatment.
it just hovers there, just like
Yeah.
like a little dark cloud. You don't know really what to do with
But
it.
can you see how your brain is trying to make sense of what doesn't make sense? Children shouldn't die.
Yeah.
We did everything. And so the only way that your brain knows how to make sense of it is to point out and find all the places where you did it wrong.
Yeah,
you could have done more.
Have some negative cognition about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the reality is if you sit with it, like, because you're even saying it, it's like, no, he really could not. Like he just, we had this hack, this hole in his stomach that we could pump food into, but it was not moving beyond his stomach. And so the pain and the misery and the agony of it all.
Yeah, he had morphine for the last couple days, which is good.
Mm-hmm. But
he may have.
This was the thing, though, is that we couldn't even put in a teaspoon of Tylenol. His last revision surgery, because he was so hard to get an IV on, and they would have to put a PICC line where they run it from this vein and then it goes up into his heart.
Yeah.
But they can get infected and whatever else. But his last surgery, one of the doctors mentioned, you could put in a port, and then if he has to have surgery, it's just easy access all the time. It's just under his skin, so it's protected and whatever. They do it a lot with cancer patients. We'll usually have a port. And it's kind of like the stomach thing, but for here.
Yeah, in the event of emergency, they can't
get
it. It would take them for, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Hours to try to get an IV or anything. So
yeah. So he said, well, we could put that in. And I think it was actually the surgery before that they mentioned it. And I said, no, I just didn't feel good about it. But when they went in to do the last surgery, I said, can you put in a port? And they said, yes. And then I was always like, why did we end up doing that? Because it was his last surgery. It's.
Well, you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
You don't know what you don't know.
But also, I was never more grateful for that port than when his gut shut down. He was not going to be able to take in the medicine.
Really? I didn't even think of that.
So they couldn't put it in an IV. He couldn't take in the medicine. And so the only way he had morphine is because he had that port. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's just always.
I didn't know that.
It's just like always. There's just always a little something. Something comes up and goes, yeah, let's just do that now. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was just meant for something else. It's just.
So let's get to the grief part. So, yeah. After the funeral, I don't want to say the funeral was a high spot point, but it was. Probably because we had so much support.
Yeah.
People from Idaho coming down, family. It was just, I don't know. It was also, I didn't feel like I needed to go be down on my luck or whatever to everybody at the funeral. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and at the time, we kept a blog, which was all the rage back then, but we started the blog for the twins because we didn't want everybody coming to the hospital because it puts them at high risk, but so we could keep everybody updated without being on the phone all the time. And it's back when you had to adjust a lot of stuff through HTML. It was like old school.
Oh yeah, you were going nuts on.
Yeah. So we
yeah.
did. It was the wondertwins.blogspot.com, where we just updated and kept the whole
Is that
story
still,
going.
like, active?
It is still active.
Oh well, so if you want some good reading,
Yep.
lots of pictures.
Yeah, like
the wondertwins.blogspot.com.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Yep. And then but it was funny because it's like we did the funeral and we did the viewing before, and it was just a line out the door. It's like, you know, he's just a kid, but we had so much support, and we did have a lot of friends come because we did it in Utah. That's where all of our family was. That's where he's buried, because that's where our home is, and or that's where we're originally from. So, yeah, we did it in Utah, and it was like we had people from Idaho came. I remember Jake was in 4th grade. His teacher had all of the kids in the class write notes to Jake. And then my friend Jen brought them all of those letters down and gave them to Jake.
Yeah.
Which helped because him going back to school, having experienced this massive thing, if nobody knew, would be so strange for him.
Yeah, I can't imagine how it'd be so foreign to.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we are good at dealing with death as adults, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's just like as a kid, and everything in Jake's life had just been like, you know, it's just like, everything was just kind of like life was leading us around by the nose, you know. We just and he was just kind of, life was upside down, and sometimes I was there and sometimes I was gone for weeks, you know, and it was a lot. I mean, I think about it all the time, and Jake is the one thing I will say, it's like what shoot.
Your turn.
Jake now has a son. Oh. Jake now has a son who we are obsessed with. But
Yep.
his name is Jack and his middle name is Dawson. And it's just like, I don't know, it's like Jake honoring his brother, you know. I think that was the thing in the grief afterwards, is I just remember like trying to navigate, how do I like grieve? I just want to be in my bed and not get out of my bed. Like because I'm grieving Dawson, but also there's the grieving of the loss of this role where I found myself.
Oh yeah, because that was a heck of a role.
It was, and it was like, I mean, there were days where I will say, and I just think it's important to say that it's like there were days in the span of Dawson's life and trying to do all of the things where, I mean, I would just slay, you know. It's like
Yep.
he could not, he was allergic to everything, and so he could only have this one formula, but that formula gave him diaper rash that would make him bleed. So every once in a while, I would get the list. We got all the allergy tested. I found all of the things that he's not allergic to. And
Which
then because
is like 4 things.
Yeah, because we could put it through a tube in his stomach, I would go and find like corned beef hash and like sweet potatoes. And he could have eggs, but like they were a small allergy, but he could have like sausage, turkey sausage and whatever. And I would, like, it was so funny. I'd made all this like eggs and sausage and all this stuff. And Ryan was in the garage and he came in and he was like, yum, smells like breakfast, just as I'm hitting go on the blender.
Yeah, put it all in the blender with some.
And you're like, no, with like orange juice and whatever, because I knew how, and then I would freeze them into ice cubes because I knew how much protein, how much fat, how much carb was in each individual ice cube. And I knew he could have 9 ice cubes per feeding. So I had to make sure he was getting all of his calories, and I would just kill it. Those were days. They were rare, but they were there. But there
Vital Junior, that was the name.
Vital Junior,
of
yes.
the formula.
Yes.
Everyone.
But I mean, I can smell it.
Uh,
But there were also times when Dawson would get neuro screams and he'd wake up at 20 times a night with just, it's like you're jolted awake by this incredibly high pitched scream. And there was nothing that would, like, I could vent his stomach. I could change his diaper. You know, you would be in there. We would be trying whatever. And we're just tired. And there were some days that were so heavy that I think of that it was like, I mean, I remember days when I'm like, I didn't even want to get out of bed. And so I just told the kids we're having a pajama and movie day.
yeah.
And we just laid in my bed and watched cartoons all day, which they thought was the best day ever. And I laid there in my shame, feeling like such a failure because I was neglecting and whatever else. But when I look back on it now, I was so judgmental of those days. But now when I look back on it, those are my sacred days.
Yeah.
Those are the days when I had absolutely nothing to give, but I still had love for them.
Well, and the kids needed those days too.
They did. And we had fun doing that. But in the grief part, it was so hard because I'm trying to navigate my own grief and can't breathe, trying to sort it out. While there's still, like, anybody who has lost a child, there's this weird feeling that, like, I would get up in the morning and I would go downstairs to go make the kids breakfast or whatever. And I would be headed down the stairs and I would go, oh, I got to go vent Dawson real quick. And I turn around and run back up the stairs and Dawson's gone. You know what I mean? It's like that stuff would happen. It would just gut me entirely over and over and over. It's like telling the kids to be quiet so they don't wake up Dawson.
Well, you're also grieving for your living kids because they're grieving,
But that's the thing, is that is all my grief. Then you're navigating grief. But I think the reason why they say when you go through grief as a married couple that that it causes a lot of marital problems and that the rates of staying together are very low is because I think that it is very difficult to make space for the other person to grieve in a different way.
If you have a need to be seen, you're probably not going to be seen. I mean, how do you know what the other person is even experiencing?
But I'm like talking about it all the time. I was, by that time, because of the blog, doing firesides very shortly after. I did a fireside about a fireside is like a motivational talk or whatever, but it's like I did one for him just before, like for the experience of the kids just before he died. And then I did it after, like in Arizona and Texas, Idaho and Utah, like all over. And so I'm talking about it and whatever else, kind of processing all of it all the time. But you're not talking about it. And I'm just like, you're not grieving. It's like, do you not feel this the way that I do or whatever for a little bit? But sometimes it's you were really good at, you just said, I just grieve different. And I think in some ways it's like there was stuff that was stuck in there.
Oh yeah, I just ignore it different. I didn't ignore it. Here's kind of what I see. Okay, we're at the funeral. We're not at home, so we're not in that environment.
Yeah.
We're in Utah. We're at the funeral, family, support, etc. We're okay.
Yeah.
And then you go back home and it's like the world is still turning.
Yeah.
Same stuff that you had, except now he's not there. And so it's like getting dropped off the end of the earth. I mean, it's how do you even know what to do?
Well,
so I shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, I was doing my job and
we're just head down doing
it. I was it was all I could do to just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. Well, that's, there's a quote by Lady Megan Devine. She studies grief. And she said, there are losses that rearrange the world, deaths that change the way that you see everything, grief that tears everything down, pain that transports you to an entirely different universe, even while everyone else thinks nothing really changed. I think that when I read that, I was like, that was like after the funeral. It's like we get back to your mom's house and And then it was like everybody was just kind of, well, I got to go to the store. And it was the weirdest feeling to me that the world was just spinning. The people were, the world just goes on.
Not that you
I didn't
expect
know
anything different, but it just
but you
seems
just don't.
strange that like everyone is resuming life, but you can't. It's like you don't even. It's not even a concept you can picture.
It's like you feel like you've been pain that transports you to an entirely different universe.
Yeah, it's totally true.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just so, it was so much. But then at the same time, we have Mallory, who was not really she couldn't really voice her feelings at the time. She was very much lower on the spectrum. And like struggling with things a little bit, but she just kept running around and looking in closets and looking in places because she just said, we lost him. We have to go and find him. Like how do you conceptualize that with her?
Yeah.
And then, it's just like hard to help her understand that. And then, just Jake, I just remember like everybody, and I would say this, it's like we need to talk a little bit about how to help people who are grieving, because I felt Jake getting so angry. And a lot of times it's like we as people feel when somebody's hurting, this is sympathy, it's the silver lining, whatever it is that we do, where we just want to we want to say the right thing that's going to make somebody feel better. If we could all just give up that's even a possibility. I think there's like the story of Job. In the story of Job,
it's probably due to discomfort a little bit. They're just I'm sure a lot of people are uncomfortable and they don't know what to do or what to say, and it's like,
so if they can
be
say
normal
something
again, please, just a little bit.
Totally. But if you can, so it's like in the story of Job, it's like when Job's friends come to him after he's lost everything, and they're sitting with him, they sit in silence and everything's great. As soon as they start telling him what he needs to do to fix himself, that things go south and he loses all of them, and it's, I think that is the thing, is we have very low tolerance for sitting with people in pain. It's uncomfortable for sure. But oftentimes people would say, aren't you so glad that he's out of pain? Well, it's okay. God just needed him. And those kind of things like wrecked Jake at like he's 10 and he's just like, okay, wait, now he's getting this new concept of God, which is God wants me to feel this pain.
Like I didn't need him anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I know that I'd said that to people before, but the very best help. There was oftentimes like when I was grieving that it's like, I would say people would ask, how are you doing? And it was just like,
what do you want me to say?
Like, I can't breathe. Like I can't, I don't know. Like I just feel lost. But Amy, aren't you so glad that you know where he is? Aren't you so glad that you'll see him again? Aren't you so glad that whatever? And the way that registered inside me is my grief was weakness, which is my own stuff that comes from my own negative cognitions. I had to be a strong person, an independent person. I can't be weak. Weak is exploited. It's like those kind of things. So then I very quickly, unconsciously adapt this thing where people say, how are you doing? I'm doing good. But you know what? I just know that this is where he's at or whatever. And so there's a lot of peace, blah, blah, blah. And so I end up stepping on my own grieving process so much because it's more in favor of, I need to be seen as strong, which then I would get reinforced all the time, because then people would go, you're so strong. I don't know how I would do that.
Yeah.
And so, but I just think that the people, friends who came over and were just like, let's just talk about Dawson. Even my friend Jenny right now, who, if Jenny listens, Jenny was also known as Dawson's girlfriend. because
That's right.
because she loved that boy. And she is another person who, while sitting at church, we're sitting there and Dawson's in his wheelchair, and she would be coming toward him, but like a distance away. He would sense her energy coming toward him, and you would see him all of a sudden start concentrating.
That's funny.
And then he would give a reaction because it was Jenny, and she was about to get him out of his wheelchair and just hug him and kiss his little neck and all that, you know. And it's just those kind of things. But it's, just Jenny, even like a couple years ago. It's the weirdest thing because any post or any picture that I have of him, it's all that I have. You know, there's no more new pictures coming. That's it. And then Jenny, a couple of years ago, said, "Hey, look at this picture I found." And it's him snuggled into her neck. And it was like getting a new picture of Dawson, you know? And it's just, I don't know. It's hard because when somebody's grieving, you don't want to say the wrong thing. You want to be able to help. You see the suffering and the pain, and you want to be able to do something to alleviate that, but we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I will just say, it's like, if we can just give up the idea that we can do or say anything that is going to remove the pain, then we'll stop stepping on like ourselves trying to do the thing. We stop putting our foot in our mouths and we just sit with them. You can say, "I don't even know what to say. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, is there anything that I can do?" And, you know, I had really fantastic friends. And when we got home, when they knew we were coming home from Utah, there were candy bars all over the house in the kids' rooms. There were balloons in Jake's room, and they had totally cleaned the house, but they had also brought soup over and had warmed the soup so it was warm when we walked in the back door. You know, and it's just that kind of stuff.
I almost feel guilty because everything we've been saying this whole time, we had it so good.
We did.
Through the entire thing. With the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel guilty, but it's like, yeah, I mean, I would say we had it easier, I'm sure, than most in the situation, just because of all the support.
Well, yeah, I think that it's even like the instinct when we felt like we should move up to be closer to your work. And it was a cost expense or whatever, but we end up moving up there into this community who knew that 5 years later, all the dads who had lost sons and other friends would be lining up when we get to church.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you had spoken about something and just cried the whole time. And I just still remember at the end of that meeting, just these men all lined up to hug you as you came down off the stand.
Yep.
And it just, we had so much support.
The thing that I keep feeling like, I mean, we're not leaving it out, honestly, we're probably addressing it as much right now as we could in the time was Jake. It's like, how I know I did not help and support Jake much during any of the time after Dawson died, because I couldn't talk about it. I mean, I was so knocked off you know what I mean? I was just so out of the world. I was out of my life. I was out of everything. I had no idea what to say to myself, let alone Jake. You know what I mean?
It would be so fascinating for me to call Jake right now and ask him what his perspective was. Because I think that's the whole thing, is that you still remain true to who you've always been. So what did we do? We couldn't even hardly function.
I don't even remember.
What we did is, I like the house that we were living in, this big old house.
This has to end before we run completely out of tissues.
Okay, sounds good. So. This house that we lived in, a big old house that we thought this was the dream. You know, across the street from a ski lift, we've got like the pond in the back. You know, we were renting a house from some friends. It's like, this is it, on 5 acres out in the middle of BLM land in the canyon in like Sun Valley area. It was just like the dream. And then all of a sudden, Dawson wasn't there, and we were spending so much time maintaining stuff, which was just taking me out. Like, it was making me so mad because I just wanted to be with my kids, but there's so much stuff and whatever. And the house felt so big and empty to all of us. And so I mentioned it to you and I said, well, you want to sell everything we own and move into an RV for a year or whatever. You didn't say a year, but it's like, do you want to go do that? And I think that I would have resisted it, for different dumb reasons, but I think that I would have resisted it, except I was just, I was like, whatever, I just want it out.
Yeah.
So we went and bought an RV, and because in Sun Valley, it's like you can live in a campground and be 15 minutes from work or school or whatever. That's what we did for a year. And sometimes we would take off and go to Yellowstone for a week and, explore around or whatever. But that is the thing, is that maybe emotionally we were a bit struggling and trying to figure it out. But what were we doing? We were living in the RV, and so we were going for walks together, and we were,
yeah. So I don't know. I haven't really thought a lot about it, but like, on the one hand, that could be hard and destabilizing for the kids, because not only did they lose their brother, they had to move out of their house and everything they know. I mean, we didn't move out of the community,
yeah.
so they still had all of that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think it was very beneficial for them, because I mean, you're living in the mountains, you're playing, you're having fun, you're not just getting home from school and wondering what you're doing.
Well, I would get Jake's friends, like after school, and I would bring them up to Wood River Campground number 4, because we'd stay there for 2 weeks, then we'd move and go somewhere else for 2 weeks or whatever. And, but it's like his friends were still coming over.
Yep.
We had everything set up in it. They were playing outside. You would sit in a chair and do work by the river. It's just, all of us were surviving, but in a way it was like thriving. Although my friend Shalise was a little worried when she pulled up one time to come visit us and bring us a treat, and she saw like my clothes on a clothesline, and she was like, Amy, no.
We were living in a van down by the river.
No, I was like, no. I just went to the laundromat, but these ones just needed like a little extra. So,
yeah.
But I just think that was the very best decision for us. Like, we just, I don't know, but I would say if you ask Jake, Jake says to everybody when they say, you are just like your dad, he's like, that's the greatest compliment anyone would ever give me.
Yeah.
Is to tell me I'm just like my dad. And it's true. And you have earned that. He doesn't give that just because, And so even though I think you were wrung out, there was a lot going on in our lives at that time.
Yep, there was.
That it is like you were literally so tapped, but the thing you never did was say no to if Jake wanted to do something with you. Or you just always did it. Even if on the inside it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired or whatever. That never showed on the outside. It just didn't.
Well, if you don't know what to do proactively, just at least be there.
Yeah. I think for me, I was trying to solve the problem. I was paranoid. I was so scared that experience was going to break something in him that
you
was
were paranoid
irrevocably. 6
months ago about that, or a year ago.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and my problem, I was talking to Bailey, our daughter-in-law, and I was just like, the thing is that it's like with Jake, when I was younger, I used to turn every dang thing into a lesson, a life lesson, whatever, which always probably felt like a lecture and whatever. Jake is very much like me. He's very independent, wants to figure out things his way. And so I think that my old anxious self used to be like quite overbearing with that. And, that's why I apologize to him all the time. But, one of the greatest things that Jake ever said to me is he's like, Mom, do you like the man that I am? One time when I was saying, I just wish I was this version of myself when I was raising you. He said, do you like the man that I am? I said, yes, he is so good and so kind. And he said, He said, well, I am who I am because of your strengths and your weaknesses. And
Yeah.
I just think that every parent needs to drink that in a little bit. You know, it's like, I am who I am because of my parents' strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, not just because of their strengths.
Yeah, not just because of their strengths. And I would say probably in my case, and some of the harder things I went through, their weaknesses had a lot more shaping of who I am now and the way that I think about things and help people.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like everything ultimately is as it should be. And when I say nothing's going wrong, I never want that to come across as being cold or what is the word? It's like that nothing's going wrong. It's like stuff's going wrong all the time. You know, it's really hard.
You don't want to
But
sound like you're minimizing.
yeah, I don't want to be minimizing anything. I'm a trauma therapist. The stuff that I hear is so that people experience is so immense. It is only to say that because I also have worked with them and I see them on the other side of healing, and they would even say, I'm so glad that actually happened in my life because I am who I am. I work with people who, when there's been infidelity, affairs, and whatever, that it's like, I never thought I would say it, but that is the best thing that happened to us because things got real. That is not always the way that it ends up going. You know, in the end, even if a couple divorces because of it, and if they do the work, they will both hopefully come to the realization that it's like, this had to happen for me to find this out about myself, which is resilience. It's like we could totally be stuck in grief forever, and we will feel grief forever. I mean, I kept trying to do the meditation, and it's like I would have to stop because I was going to ugly face cry all over the place.
Well, I'm glad you waited for me to do that.
I know, but it's like it comes and goes in waves. But I think that the important part is that the difficult things that we go through, I think that this is where I got a different view on redemption, which is that it's like I'm able to sit with people in very difficult moments. I'm able to be more compassionate with people when they experience loss. I'm able to, you know, connect with somebody who feels alone in what they experienced, you know, growing up or whatever. I can connect with those people because of what I've experienced. So then to me, it's like, isn't that redemption? That I can sit in a space and be so thankful that I experienced this thing because I'm okay. And now I get to be this person for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, I get to be who I needed, you know.
You've redeemed
for
the
somebody
quote
else.
bad experience to be beneficial, to be good
Yeah.
for good for you and other people.
Yes. And it's like, okay, then what's the alternative? What's the alternative?
Yeah, you fight it.
I stay forever trapped in the past. Like, you know, it's like the root of all suffering is to resist what is, you know, to resist what is. But if I can accept what is, then I can move through it and figure out how to get through it. Now, grief is totally different because I think for a long time I felt like strength was being able to not grieve was what I was doing.
Push through it.
Yeah.
With your, I don't know.
Yeah. But now I know that it takes real courage and real strength to feel the full weight of grief. You know, with you, I remember like when you were experiencing like a lot of depression and it was really heavy. And so I'm like, hey, ketamine, let's go try ketamine. This will be great. Like everybody says it makes you feel euphoric. That's what you need right now. They hooked you up to that drip and within no time, you were crying harder than I've ever seen you cry in my whole life for 45 minutes straight. The doctor kept checking in. Is everything okay? And I was just like, are you okay? But I knew it was a release cry. It wasn't you were spiraling in some weird space.
Yep.
And I didn't know what it was about. But at the very end, after about 45 minutes, you said for the first time, that I've ever heard you say it. I just miss Dawson so bad. And it was just like, whoa. You've been carrying this for that long? No wonder you're depressed. It's like when your energy is low, where is your energy going? It's going to holding on to this stuff, because when it isn't moving through you, it's stuck in you.
Well, it's hard to let it through because it sucks to feel it.
But that is the great trick, is to think that just because you're not crying doesn't mean you're not feeling it. You are. Your body's just carrying it somewhere. In illness, in whatever. For me, I did like a psilocybin therapy thing this last weekend, and it was like the version of myself that I saw was that version of myself caring for Dawson. I weighed 120 pounds more than I do now, struggling with PCOS, all of the weight of all of the grief of all of the hard stuff that I had ever carried in my life. I was just so lost in it. And I didn't have the perspective that I do now. I just was carrying it all. And so I saw my inflamed face with acne and acne scars and everything. And I grabbed her cheeks and said, "You're done. You don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to carry it. You finished, you know?" And it was just like this release. She doesn't have to hold it anymore. It's in the past. It's already happened. There's so much more that has happened since then. But it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would say I was so entrenched in not facing it that it took ketamine therapy to just drop the walls so I could just let it in and let it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're listening and you're stuck, I mean, it's not for everybody, but if it's for you, it can be, I mean, life or death.
Yeah.
As far as your soul and your happiness and your peace goes.
Well, there's a lot. I really what we should do is one of these times we should invite my friend Dallin, who actually is a professor who teaches people who get certified to use medicinal, like therapists, to use medicine in treatment. And he does it as well. Like I know, like administers like ketamine treatment and psilocybin, stuff like that. But it's like, it would be beneficial to talk about it, because those have been massive tools for us. Breath work was life-changing for me, changed my perspective forever. And breath work can be an over-oxygenation of your brain, which causes things to open up a lot, like using a psychedelic. But also doing this psychedelic gave me one of the most transformative things as well, you know. And it's like, it's something to be done with caution and with help, but it can be massively beneficial.
Yeah, there's
therapy.
Tools out there. I mean, anyway, yeah.
I was just going to look up something really quick while we're, let me see.
Hey, that's good. Good tunes.
Yeah. Just looking to make sure. It's like
completely drained me of all salt water.
Yeah. Well, it's like Maya Angelou said, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And it's like, what would it then look like to be reduced by this experience that we had no control over, that just happened? Well, I mean, it would be easy and justifiable to stay. It would be simple and justifiable to just stay crippled by that grief forever. But it wouldn't be easy, because then you have to live in a place. Our brains do not know the difference between the past and the present and the future. Our brain is constantly using our past hurts to project on the future. And it's like, take the time you need, but also remember that is like the only way to the other side of the grief is through it. You have to go through. So it's like you were carrying all that grief in your body. It manifests in illness, it manifests in all these different things. But as you release it, like I used to have a thyroid disorder that's like not curable, but I did a ton of like trauma work combined with the physical stuff to try to take care of it. And now I do not have it. But I swear to you, it is like there's some connection to that my trauma, unresolved trauma and stuff was stored there.
I think sometimes there's an assumption by people that you should, that you know how to deal with your grief. You just don't want to do it,
Yeah.
or you're not willing to do it because it's
Yeah.
hard or whatever. But if you got, I mean, I didn't know how to do. I mean, sure, I felt like, okay, if I bawled for an hour, maybe I'd feel better. But I mean, that wasn't enough evidence that was going to be the trick for me to just drop the walls and do it.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're feeling like you don't, you know, something's got to release, but you don't know what to do. Or, I mean, I don't know. Call it a therapist. I don't really know, but I just know that there's answers. If you don't feel like the answer is inside of you to figure it out yourself, reach out to somebody.
Yeah, if you feel stuck in it. I mean, I think that the thing is that, you know, I just was reading, there's like a study that they're finding cortisol in tears, which cortisol is the stress hormone, which means it's actually releasing stress from your body to cry. So, but some people just don't cry it out. Other people need to, but can't, you know, and so working on that, but it's like, even for me, it's like meditation, mindfulness, those kind of things are super helpful. I mean, there's nothing like turn on some music and just dance in a moment, move your body like, you know, nobody else is around. Close your eyes and just dance without judgment for yourself. There's an energy, a frequency shift that happens in it. But all of it is really just the intentionality of, I am not avoiding this. It is my companion, you know, like we will feel this off and on forever.
Yep.
You know, the thing about having Dawson and Mallory be twins is every time she's graduated from kindergarten, preschool, blah, 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 every single time, there's always the thing in my mind going, I'm supposed to have two here. And I'm not supposed to. Everything is as it was going to happen. But it still was honoring that part of me that was missing him, watching him. I just want to know what he looks like as a teenager. He was just so cute.
Yep.
You know, I don't know, his little, just the things about him. And he was just so my little man.
Yep.
You know?
Did you find your quote?
No, I wasn't looking for a quote. Instead, what I was thinking is to end this, I thought it would be fun.
Oh, you're going to play a little something, something.
Yep. We're going to listen to Dawson laugh us out. This one.
Dawson thinks this is the funniest thing.
Funny about it, I'm an expert shot. Ready?
Do it again.
Oh no, Dawson. Oh no. Here I go, Dawson.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's so good. His little laugh and his little my other favorite one.
Hi, little buddy. Is today your birthday? Oh, why are you fussing? Where's your mippum? Can you do it? Where's your mippum? Did you just take a nap with Mommy? Yeah. Yeah. a nap and cuddle up for a whole long time for your birthday?
Oh boy.
Well, it just doesn't feel right to do any of this without giving everybody else the opportunity to know Dawson, because I think we're both here and we both think in this way and we both experience this because of the experience of having him, how impossibly hard it was at times, and also how beautiful his spirit and his soul was to get to be his mom and dad.
Yep.
And the loss of him, like all of it together, has made us who we are. So yeah, we love him, miss him forever, and he's a part of us forever, and now his name lives on in our little Jack.
Yep. Big sigh, big breath.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know what else there's to say.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that we got that chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you all for being a part of this and letting us kind of celebrate Dawson and be a little indulgent today with just, I don't know, introducing you to our boy and taking a minute to actually, it's funny when you said we haven't even had this conversation. That was the first realization. I'm like, yeah, we really haven't. Okay, here we go.
We haven't.
So
that was it.
Anyway, I hope if there is anything, if anybody is struggling or in grief, and even if it isn't grief, it's something else. If you feel stuck, if you feel trapped, if you feel hopeless, just know that it's like life does get better. All of these experiences are meant for our good. They are the ones that are meant to help us to heal and become more whole and who we were meant to be. It's just sometimes when you're in the dark of it, it's really hard to see the way out. So in those days, just be gentle with yourself.
Yeah. Grace and compassion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, may you all be well and be happy and be peaceful. And
Yep. And thanks for thanks for putting up with us for the last, seems like 6 hours.
yeah, it does. It feels like a long one,
It
but
does. Thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next time.